Another big difference is Backstage, and the kind of, because you've got so many different bands there, and the way they interact with each other, and the kind of little rivalries that are going on, and you know, you really see the real side of people.
It was freaky to play in front of that many people and see like stages and people working to make the show go and all that stuff. I had no idea that people were capable of that.
It's like excitement overload, if you understand what I'm saying. A lot of times bands are on a festival and it's like this is their opportunity to play in front of lots of people. So that, bearing that in mind, sometimes they'll make it difficult for the act that follows them, by not being on time, by not coming off stage on time.
I've never found there to be very much camaraderie between bands at festivals.
It's more likely to get sabotaged.
To be honest with you, I don't, you know, I think that everyone stays in their own little game.
Backstage area that day was sort of pretty much run by New Order and their crew, or certainly the vibe was.
Peter Hook from New Order drove a Jag into the bar, which I thought was really cool.
It wasn't a very happy time for us as a group. We were very fragmented then, and I remember everybody partying while we all went to bed.
I went into the bar and I remember seeing Elvis Costello and Shane McGowan from the Pogues there drinking. I think I went 2 days later and they were still there, and they'd been there, they hadn't gone home.
The Pogues singer, he felt, when he saw Endo, he sees the same face as him. He says, "Oh, you!" And he says, "Oh, you!" They get friends immediately. I've never seen that before.
It was like being in the Town and Country Club at some huge after show, but there wasn't a ceiling. You know, it was just like being, and it was grass instead of mucky carpet.
And everyone got paid in used fibres. And our manager was running around the site going, oh, I've got 15 grand's worth of used fibres on my person. I'm panicking a lot. I remember that.
I think what's odd looking through there is how few of the bands lasted any much longer than '89, really.
You know, bands are incredibly complex organisms. How any of them work ever amazes me. It's all very easy when you feel the whole world's against you and no one gives a shit, and you know, even your parents think you suck.
Those early stages of being in a band when you're excited about getting a record contract and putting your first single out and doing a gig and doing your first big gig and all the rest of it, a lot of that enthusiasm does naturally evaporate.
You definitely have to say that while there's an excitement about it, you're always chasing, you know, the first times or whatever. And also, once you get involved in drink and drugs, it can change your perception of the whole thing. I mean, every group unfortunately has that phase. If there's any that haven't had that phase, I'd be delighted to hear from you.
I mean, I was drinking a lot, taking a lot of drugs, so all my energies were going into doing all that sort of stuff. And I was always like, yeah, okay, you know, it's great being in the band, but you know, let's get out of our head here as well. You know, that was my kind of priority at the time.
No time for smoking, no time for drinking. Drinking is another time, but when it comes to it, you wait.
I always, you know, joke with people that I'm professionally self-unemployed.
There's no better life than being in a band that can make a living.
You know, and somebody would say, you know, your passport and a car will be outside the door tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, you know, and tell your family you'll see them in a month, you know, and they'd ring you up and say stuff like that. You know, your entire life would be sort of completely, it's taken away from you a little bit.
A group is like a bloody marriage, and tastes change, and when you can't bring them together so that you can enjoy yourself, then it's obviously not working.
It's just a lot of the shit in the music business is an occupational hazard, really. Same as, you know, other occupations, they have their hazards. You work on buildings, you can fall off them, you know.
In starlight nights, I saw you so cruelly. You kissed me.
You know what they did to me that day? They actually gave me 200 quid to go shopping while they made decisions about what record I was to make, you know.
So I'm kind of standing there, and Gary Gersh comes up to me and he's like, "Hi, I'm Gary Gersh, president of Capitol. I just want you to know I really respect what you do." And I was like,
wow. I was just so thrilled. I was like, he knows who I am, and he respects me. And 5 minutes later, he walks up to me, he goes, "Hi, I'm Gary Gersh, and I just want you to know I really respect what you do."
Sometimes it can be quite a long day or a long trip, and you feel quite weary, and you think, oh, we've got on stage now. Oh my God, how am I going to summon up the kind of energy to do this? And the minute you walk on there, and the adrenaline goes, and suddenly you're on top of the world.
But on stage, you communicate, quoi. You're doing it. You have the people in front of you, and if you make them happy, it gives back to you an energy. And after you can go to bed, yeah.
I still think it's romantic to eat shit food at 3 o'clock in the morning on some roadhouse on the side of a road in Poland. I think it's romantic. I still think it's romantic. I've been doing it for 27 years, and the romance of that's never left me. I've probably got a screw missing or something.
I try and tell my kids this, they want to be in a band. I say, well, you're going to have to exist on 4 hours sleep, 2 bottles of vodka a night, as many this and that as you can take just to keep going, and stay sane at the same time. But having said that, yeah, fantastic.